Good afternoon to all brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Today is the 30th November 2025, Sunday class. So as usual, we will be continuing our sharing from this book, the Surangama Sutra, following Master Hsuan's commentary. As usual, we will prepare our mind for Puja. So let us compose our mind, develop the faith, Saddha, Virya, then mindfully we shall commence the Puja chanting. Namo 本师释迦牟尼佛 Namo 本师释迦牟尼佛 Namo 本师释迦牟尼佛 Namo 观世音菩萨 Namo 观世音菩萨 Namo 观世音菩萨 南无药师佛，南无药师佛，南无药师佛，南无文殊菩萨，南无文殊菩萨，南无文殊菩萨，南无普贤菩萨，南无普贤菩萨，南无普贤菩萨，南无地藏王菩萨，南无地藏王菩萨。南无地藏王菩萨，南无佛菩萨，南无佛菩萨，南无佛菩萨。อะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธภะคะวะพุทธังภะคะวันตังอะภิวาเทมิสวากขาโตภะคะวะตาธัมโมธัมมังนัมมัสสามิสุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะบุตตังสรณังกัจฉามิธัมมังสรณังกัจฉามิสังฆังสรณังกัจฉามิดุติยัมปิบุตตังสรณังกัจฉามิดุติยัมปิธัมมังสรณังกัจฉามิดุติยัมปิสังฆังสรณังกัจฉามิตติยัมปิบุตตังสรณังกัจฉามิตติยัมปิธัมมังสรณังกัจฉามิตติยัมปิสังฆังสรณังกัจฉามิปานาติปาตาเวรมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิอาดินาดานาเวรมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิกาเมสุมิจฉาจาระเวรมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิมุสาวาทาเวรมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิสุราเมรยามัจจาปมาดัฏฐานะเวรมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิสาธุสาธุสาธุ Okay, let's pay respect to Puja. Buddhang Pujami. Dhammang Pujami. Sanghang Pujami. We shall chant the invocation to the Devas. in this universe in the entirety. Let the deities or devas come here. Let them hear the good teachings of the King of Sages, which gives heaven and release Nibbana. This is the time to listen to the teaching. This is the time to listen to the teaching. This is the time to listen to the teaching. Samanta Chakavalesu Atra Gachantu Devata Saddhamang Munirajasa Sunantu Sakamokadang Dhamma Sunan Kalo Ayang Badanta Dhamma Sunan Kalo Ayang Badanta Dhamma Sunan Kalo Ayang Amanta Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Iti Peso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vijacharana Sampanno Sugato Lokavidu Anuttaro Purisa Dhammasarati Satta Deva Manusanang Buddho Bhagavati Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Sandetiko Akaliko Ehipaseko Opanaiko Pachyatang Veditabo Vinohiti Supatipanno Bhagavato Sangho Ujupatipanno Bhagavato Sangho Nyaya Patipanno Bhagavato Sangho Samici Patipanno Bhagavato Sangho Yadidang Chatari Yurisabhani Atta Purisa Pugala Esa Bhagavato Sangho Ahuneyo Pahuneyo Dakineyo Anjali Karaniyo Anuttarang Punyang Ketang Lokasati Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu. The conditioned mind and the true mind. So the title is very concise and very good. The problem with the cultivator at that time is they do not know how to distinguish between these two minds. One is our mundane thinking mind, which is dependent, originating, condition arising, causal phenomenon. That's why we call it the conditioned mind. Conditioned by causes and condition, it arises. Without causes and condition, this mundane thinking mind or conditioned arising mind cannot arise. And the Buddha called this the mano. When he referred to mano, he always say, this mind the conditioned mind, the mundane mind, the thinking mind, is the forerunner of all things. That's why he said, mind is chief. When mind arises, all things arise. Everything is made from the mind. Mind make our day. That's why in Mandarin, the Mahayana tradition, they always use the very beautiful stanza or phrase to describe this mind. He said, 一切唯心造, means everything that arises within our conditioned world, our conditioned Dhamma. Mind make our day. 唯心造 means the mind that created it. That's why everything is created by the mind. Mind make our day. So that is the meaning. Whereas the other one is the true mind. The true mind actually is the first to arise from our source, or our Buddha nature, the oneness nature. Like I have explained to you all via the 4 circle formation. The first circle is the primary origin of all things. That's why sometimes they call it the source of all creation. Some call it the source. Some call it the unconditioned, the true nature, the oneness nature. Or in Maya, sometimes they call it the original nature, 本来的面目. Originally, before anything is created or arise, it is that which is called the original nature, 本来的面目. So this one cannot be understood until you develop the higher cultivation. But what is important is the thing that first arises from this nature out is the pure awareness nature, and this is your true mind. That's why I put here the true mind. And this is pure awareness nature. It's a nature, it's not a being. It cannot come out and live life. This is not a permanent, unchanging entity. Although it's unconditioned, but it is not a being, it's not an entity. So this understanding is very difficult to develop unless you cultivate. But the beauty of this is, this can never arise unless there is a form and mind. For living being, including human being, to arise in this existential world or phenomenal world of consciousness and form within our existence or universe, you need a karmic nature. And this karmic nature will create a karmically conditioned form and mind to arise. The Buddha called it the 5 aggregate of Nama Rupa. Nama is the mind, Rupang is the form. There are 2 aspects to it, especially for us human beings. The physical body, together with the consciousness trapped inside, is the first aspect as a human being. That's why this human being, we have a physical form. This is Rupang. Then this is Nama, mind. So this form and mind is what we call the 5 aggregate of form and mind. So this mind is the consciousness that is trapped inside this body. So I better write it down. So this one is the consciousness trapped within. So this is Rupang, the Rupa, the form, or the mind is the Nama. So this 5 aggregate of form and mind, which is karmically conditioned, becomes the living being. For our case, this is the human being. The first aspect of the five aggregate of form and mind is, as a human being, we have a physical body, which we call it the rupa. Then we have a mind trapped inside, consciousness trapped inside. This is what we call nama. So nama rupa. The mind has four aggregates. You have to understand what this mind is. The mind is capable of doing certain things. It can feel. That's why it has an aggregate of feeling, perception. Feeling is vedana. Then it can perceive. It can have the perception through the senses. So perception is sanya in Pali. Then it can also develop thinking, thought process, or what we call mind state, mental intention, mental volition. So all these are what we call activity of mind, or we call it the content of consciousness. Whatever your mind can do is sankara. That is the third aggregate. So sankara, you need a lot of English word to actually describe it or formulate the understanding. Some call it mental formation, mental intention or volition, and mental states. And some call it mental activity. But if you really look into the whole process, it is actually more than that. It includes your planning, scheming, cunningness, selfishness, craving, whatever. And these are the possibility of mind state. Even that awareness within is part of the mind state. Then you have tranquility, stillness of mind, then restlessness of mind. All these are the sankhara mind states. Then apart from these four, the mind is also capable of becoming conscious. It can make us conscious of what we see through our eye, the seeing consciousness. Then conscious of what we hear through our hearing. Conscious of what we smell, taste, tactile feel and think. So these four aggregates of Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara and Vijnana is the mental four aggregate plus the physical form. It becomes the first aspect of the five aggregate of form and mind. And when this one arises, the first to arise from that nature, which is within, is the pure awareness nature. So this one and the thought process, or what we call the mundane thinking, the mundane mind, mano, they are very close to each other. It's actually from this that is within the form and mind that manifested this mundane mind. That's why our awareness-based meditation is to silence everything, bring everything within the external phenomenal world of consciousness back into our pure awareness nature. So stay here. So when you stay here, you can see the movement, the creation, how from here it arises the five aggregate of form and mind. But the karmic process gives rise to the first aspect of the five aggregate of form and mind. Then what is the second aspect? The second aspect is the thought manifested from the five aggregate. And how does it arise? The mind has four aggregates. Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara and Vijnana. Then the fifth aggregate, which is the external rupang, you bring it in through your Sanya aggregate, which is the perception aggregate, through the ability of your mundane mind to perceive. So the external form enters the mind. Like my voice, you can perceive it through your hearing. It enters the mind. So this is the rupang. Like what you perceive through your seeing consciousness. It can be the whiteboard, Yeah? Whatever you perceive within this physical house, or the Buddha Rupang, whatever, these are external form. When you perceive it, it enters the mind, and it becomes a form aggregate, a mental form. And that trigger the second aspect of the five aggregate of form and mind. So the second aggregate of the five aggregate of form and mind is your thought process, your pure consciousness with its content, which is Sankhara Sanya, which is inclusive of Sankhara. So Sankhara includes Vedana and Sanya. So most of the time is Sankhara, Sanya that interact. Sanya is perceived, then through your memory, conditioning, views, opinion and whatever, then you create the thought activity, the mental intention, the karmic conditioning, everything. And this is the process that brings forth the karmic conditioning, the karmic possibility. That's why the law of karma immediately manifests, unending. That's why samsara, cycle of birth and death, continue to perpetuate and evolve until what it is today, so sophisticated. So these two minds, the true mind and the mundane mind, they are very close to each other. So when you silence everything, develop the ability to stay at the heart without thought, the pure awareness, you let everything subside or slow down until it returns to its original pure awareness state, before the thinking, before the stirring, before the arising of thought. Then you can see the two minds. So it's due to the lack of this understanding that during the Surangama Sutra section, that a lot of these so-called disciples of the Buddha or cultivator of the way fail to actually understand what the true mind is. They are familiar with the conditioned mind, the thinking mind, the mundane mind, the mano. And because of that, they use that as the basis of thought process, as a basis of developing the understanding. So when the Buddha asked them, where is your mind? They got it all wrong, because they only know the conditioned arising mind. They have not realized the true mind. It's just like the sixth patriarch platform Sutta. When the fifth patriarch Hongren was trying to teach Shen Xiu and all the other disciples at that time, they also failed to understand what is the true mind. Until Huineng arrived. Then when Huineng arrived, the fifth patriarch knew that he has the understanding. But in order not to create unnecessary misunderstanding and other things, because he's from the south. A southerner is perceived as a barbarian without much education and understanding. That's why he sent him to the kitchen area to help out with the kitchen duties and all these things. But then, Huineng got such past cultivation and understanding. That's why as he was staying there, I think after about 8 months, the fifth patriarch, Hongren, decided to give a very important statement to all the disciples at that time. He said, do not waste time on accumulating tinted merits, because this will not help you realize enlightenment, breakthrough, birth and death. That's why do not waste time on tinted merit. Please cultivate diligently and go ahead and write me a stanza that proves your understanding so that I can transmit the patriarchship to the next one who has the understanding, which is basically the robe and the insignia or the bud at that time, which was a symbol of the patriarchship transmission. And that's how the whole thing started. So initially Sun Xiu wrote the poem, then somebody recited this walking by the kitchen. Hui Neng heard the stanza and knew that he has not penetrated the understanding of the true mind. He was trapped at the mundane thinking level, mundane mind level. But basically he did mindfulness, what they call Theravada tradition teaching, or the Mahayana call it the Xiao Chen teaching, which is not of the supreme vehicle teaching, based on the initial wisdom developed through listening and contemplation, first and second turning wisdom. And because of that, Hui Neng, he went and had a look at the poem written at the wall of the hall. Courtyard, the wall of the courtyard. Then he also said he got a poem to write and requested, somebody who know how to actually write it very well. I think it's a merchant and a scholar. So that's how it started. And he wrote the 4 stanzas to counter Sun Xiu's first poem, completely tears apart, based on his understanding on the true mind, which is not the mundane mind, and also explain what wisdom is. Pu Ti Ben Wu Su, Ming Jing Yi Fei Tai, Ben Lai Wu Yi Wu, He Chu Re Chen Ai. So that famous stanza point out the great wisdom of Hui Neng, whereas he had penetrated the true mind. That's why he know what Sun Xiu mentioned. Polish until it shines so that no dust can alight. That mind is the mundane mind. That one is not the true mind. That's why the mind that Sun Xiu described is like a mirror bright on a stand. He said that is not the true mind. That is the mundane mind. But he didn't use the word mundane mind. But for cultivator of the way, they will know. So this mundane mind is the conditioned arising mind, the thinking mind. And from there, he moved on and say, the true mind has got none of all this. There is no mirror bright, no stand, nothing. Originally, it was empty. Nothing inside there. Then where can the dust alight? Where the dust was created through the mundane mind, the duality and all this thing. So this understanding can help you develop the penetrative awakening of the two mind. That's why the first hallmark of Hui Neng is to realize the Wu Nian de Jing Jie, which is to realize the state of no thought. When you don't have thought, means you have realized the true mind. So realizing the true mind is to take you direct to the meditative mind. Because the true mind is a silent mind, the pure awareness nature. And that is the mind that can insight into phenomena, awaken and realize the truth. That's why The first hallmark of awakening is to take meditator or cultivator of the way direct to the meditative mind, to realize your true mind. And from there, only you can develop the understanding of the Buddha's teaching and the awakening. There's a heedfulness come from the two parts. Ever mindful, constantly meditative. So to be ever mindful, you have to train your mind to be mindful, then stabilize it to be ever mindful. Yeah. Then when you are without thought, you're already mindful. But when you can stabilize it, it will become ever mindful. Means continuous mindfulness throughout the day. Stability of daily mindfulness throughout the day. Then use it to observe, to insight into phenomena, to awaken, to cultivate Noble Eightfold Path. And that gives rise to heedfulness. Okay, we go back to the notes. So hopefully with this explanation, you can develop the clear understanding of the conditioned mind and the true mind. You got any question, you can ask. Okay, don't have, then we continue. The conditioned mind and the true mind. Then Ananda stood up in the midst of the great assembly. He uncovered his right shoulder, placed his right knee on the ground, put his palms together respectfully, and said to the Buddha, Lord Buddha, you have bestowed your loving kindness on me as your youngest cousin. But now that he has entered, Ananda has entered the monastic life, he has continued to presume upon his kindness, and as a result, all that he has done is to become a learned monk, means through committing all the teaching to memory, means through listening, he developed the first turning wisdom and become a sotapan, and he's stuck there. And so, he is not yet free from outflow, means he hasn't realized arhantaship. Then Ananda continued, he said, since I could not resist the Kapila spell, means the Brahma mantra, that lady, what's her name earlier? Matangi. The mother taught him this spell. So Ananda was not able to resist the Kapila spell. And because of that, he was lured into a house of custodians, or in our modern term is like prostitute at that time. Or because I did not know how to find the rhyme of true reality. Means he has not realized the true mind, the silent mind, and developed the wisdom. Then he continued, he said, I only hope that the world-honored one, which is the Buddha, out of compassion, out of pity and great kindness or compassion, will instruct us all in the path of calming the mind, will guide people who have no trust in the Dhamma, and will counteract the wrong tendency of the uncivilized. When he had finished speaking, Ananda bowed to the ground, and with the rest of the great assembly, prepared himself with keen anticipation to listen reverently to the teaching. So that was how the request for the sutta started. At that time, an array of lights, as dazzling and as brilliant as 100,000 suns, pour forth from the world-honored one's face. 6 kinds of quaking shock the land of the task-come one, and an infinite number of worlds appear throughout all 10 directions. all at the same time. The Buddha's awe-inspiring spiritual power caused all this world to merge into a single world, and in that world, all the great bodhisattvas, while remaining in their own land, place their palms together and listen. Then the commentary says, earthquake occur in their sixth aspect in all of the billions of worlds in which there were Buddhas. Not only in our Saha world, but all of the others too. Three of these aspects involve movement, quaking, erupting, and upward heaving. Quaking is the motion of the earth during an earthquake. Erupting refers to intermittent agitation, which causes lava to little by little seep forth like water from a fountain. Heaving upward refers to the continual violent outward movements of the earth. At present, our planet Earth is in the midst of changes brought about by the sixth aspect of earthquakes. The other aspect of earthquakes, cracking, roaring, and striking, involve sound. When there is cracking, the whole section of the earth are torn, asunder. The earth splits apart and often rents whole buildings in the process. Roaring occurs when the earth emits strange sounds. Striking occurs when the earth has split apart and two faces of the crevice strike against one another. The Buddha used his awe-inspiring spiritual power to bring all the land together into one. Nowadays we can greatly enlarge a very small photograph and also reduce a very large photograph into a very small one. In the same way, the Buddha, by means of his spiritual power, made distant places close, brought all the right land throughout the universe into one, as if he were reducing the photograph. And yet, though the lands were united into one, each remained located in their respective position without being mixed up. The Buddha brought all this land together so that everyone, including the Bodhisattva in every land, could listen as he spoke the great Surangama Samadhi. The Buddha said to Ananda, this one you must listen. Since time without beginning, all beings, because of the many distortions in their mind, have been creating seeds of karma. See, all the segmented form in mind, since the first thought of ignorance. That's why the Buddha used this phrase, inconceivable is the first thought of ignorance that conditioned living being into this coming movement. So here he says, since time without beginning, all beings, because of their many distortion or wrong view in their mind, has been creating seeds of karma, which then grew and ripened naturally like a cluster of fruits on a ruksa tree. The meaning is the berry-like fruit grows in tight cluster of tree. The round seeds are used for recitation bit and all that. Okay, then we move on. The ruksa represent delusion, intentional action, and the consequence of action, which are interconnected as if they were joined in a single stem. You cannot say which precedes the other. They follow one another in a continuous a continuing cycle, life after life, aeons after aeons. When would you say it all began? It has no beginning. That's why he used the word inconceivable. It's the beginning of the first thought of ignorance, unless you are Sammasambuddha. It's an endless cycle, as one is bound in the cycle of birth and death in the sixth destiny. Each of us born here in the world is like a fine mote of dust, which suddenly rises high and suddenly falls low. When your actions are meritorious, you are born high. When you commit offenses, you fall. Therefore, we people should only do things that are wholesome or good. Don't commit offenses, because the world runs on the principle of cause and effect, the principle of karma. The seed of karma develop on their own accord, brings you the appropriate consequences of whatever you have done, for good or for evil. So the law of karma is very important, very powerful. People who undertake a spiritual practice, but who fail to realize the ultimate enlightenment. People such as the sound hearers of the teaching, means the preliminary teaching, the sainthood way, and the solitary sage or the Pacceka Buddha vehicle, as well as celestial wing and others, such as demon kings and members of the demons' retinues, who follow wrong path. All fail because they do not understand two fundamentals and are mistaken and confused in their practice. They are like someone who cooks sand, hoping to prepare a delicious meal, even if the sand will cook for aeons. Numberless as mote of dust, no meal would result from it. Commentary. People are born in a stopple, and die in the midst of a dream. With nothing to do, they go look for something to do. They fail to recognize their pure and fundamental nature and devote themselves to deluded thinking instead. It means they are deludedly caught in the mundane thinking, the conditioned mind. They divide experiences into good and bad, right and wrong, thereby creating the duality. But in the matrix of the Taskamon, there is no such distinction. The matrix of the Taskamon isn't anything at all. It is absolutely pure. Our eyes may see the world of perceived objects, but they are simply manifestations of consciousness. When you really understand the truth that there isn't anything that comes into being or ceases to be, then you would have understood that basically there isn't anything at all. That's the meaning of empty nature of existence. But this principle is not easy to comprehend. We must come to understand its meaning gradually. Then we go back to the sutta. Ananda then continued. Ananda, what are the two fundamentals? The first is the mind, that is the basis of birth and death. And that has continued since time without beginning. This mind is dependent on perceived objects. And it is this mind that you and all living beings make use of, and that each of you considered to be your own nature. That's why that delusion is very severe. That is the conditioned mind, not your true mind. Whereas the second fundamental is full awakening, which also has no beginning. It is the original pure essence of Nirvana. It is the original understanding, the real nature of consciousness. All conditioned phenomena arises from there. See, this is what I explained to you. And yet it is among those phenomena that beings lost track of. They have lost track of the fundamental understanding, though it is active in them all day long. And because they remain unaware of it, they make the mistake of entering the various destiny, means the sixth destiny, or what they call in the Mahayana, Liu Dao Lun Hui, is also another name to describe the 31 plane of existence. The sutta continues. The Buddha told Ananda, he said, Ananda, because you now wish to know about the path of calming the mind, and wish to be subject to death and rebirth no more, or no longer, I will question you now. Then the tasked one raised his golden hued arm and bent his 5 fingers. Each of them marked with lines in the shape of a wheel. And he asked Ananda, did you see something? Ananda said, yes, I did. Then the Buddha said, what do you see? Ananda said, I saw the tasked one raise his arm and bend his fingers into a fist that sent forth light, dazing my mind and eyes. Commentary. Why did the Buddha ask about such a simple matter? You may see it as simple now, but actually it is not. The more the Buddha's question is examined as the text continues, the deeper and more wonderful it becomes. It is just in the course of an ordinary everyday matter that you can become fully aware of the Buddha that is inherent in you. Actually, it is the Buddha nature. The familiar places you come in contact with every day are the representation, means the manifestation from the Buddha nature. But you need to know that through your own experience. Otherwise, what is wrong seems right to you, and what is right seems wrong, and what is not lost seems lost. In fact, you haven't lost your Buddha nature, but it seems lost to you. Since time without beginning, the root of death and rebirth, which is the mind that is dependent on conditioned phenomena, that is the conditioned mind, the mundane mind, has been too strong. If that mind were to disappear, you would become aware of your Buddha nature in an instant. So this one is very important. That's why I say without thought, you already aware. You already with your true mind. That's why don't try to be aware. Because the trying is by the thought. When the thought is active, awareness cannot arise. So to realize the true mind, you must cease the mundane thinking, the conditioned arising mind. So if that conditioned arising mind were to disappear, you would become aware of your Buddha nature in an instant. Then the Buddha said, when you saw this fish emit light, what did you see it with? He is trying to hint to Ananda. Ananda said, all of us in the assembly saw it with our own eyes. The Buddha said to Ananda, you have answered that the Taskam one bent his finger into a fish and sent forth light dazzling your eyes, your mind and eyes. Your eyes can see by fish, but what do you take to be your mind that is dazed by it? Ananda said, the Taskam one has just now been asking me about my mind's location, and my mind is what I have been using to determine where it might be. My mind is that which has the capability of making such distinction. Then the Buddha exclaimed, Ananda, that is not your mind. Now you understand it. He is using the mundane perception, and that is not the true mind. Startled, Ananda stood up, placed his palm together and said to the Buddha, if that is not my mind, then what it is, or where it is? Okay, I repeat. Startled, Ananda stood up, placed his palm together and said to the Buddha, if that is not my mind, then what is it? Then you listen, this one very important. The Buddha said to Ananda, it is merely your mental processes that assign false and illusory attribute to the world of perceived object. You can understand him in that. Because you use your memory, your knowledge to perceive, not through your true mind, the direct seeing. That's why you create all the duality, everything. Yeah. Okay. These processes delude you about your true nature. Understand or not? That's what I used to explain to you. When these five aggregate of form and mind through its senses created the phenomenal world, because every moment of sense perception through your senses, it arises the respective sense or consciousness. Then you input the content. Then this is the one that lure you, entice you, and create the wrong perception. That's why this one is the chaotic existential world. Without wisdom, without the Dhamma understanding, born of the direct seeing, you cannot understand this movement. Then this perceived reality, which is wrong thought, can condition you into delusion and give rise to all the unnecessary suffering, misery, etc. And you through this create the karmic conditioning, entanglement. And the whole condition was manifestation, flow, and become what it is now. So this part is very good. So I read again, you listen to it. So that process that Ananda described, the Buddha said these processes delude you about your true nature and have caused you since time without beginning and in your present life to mistake a burglar for its own child, to lose touch with your original nature, which is your true mind, pure awareness nature, which is the everlasting mind. And thus, that is how you are bound to the cycle of birth and death. Ananda then said to the Buddha, "O honored one, I am the Buddha's favorite cousin. It was my mind that loved the Buddha and led me to enter the monastic life. That mind of mine has been responsible not only for my serving the thus come one, but also for serving all Buddhas and all the good and wise teachers throughout, as many lands as there are sand grains in the river Ganges. It has always been that mind that has marshaled great courage to practice every difficult aspect of the Dhamma. If I were ever to slander the Dhamma and forsake whatever my good roots in it, that mind of mine would be the cause even of that. If this activity of comprehending is not the true mind, then I have no mind. He dared to say that. But he did know there is another mind, which is the true mind, before the arising of thought. And I am the same as a clod of earth or a piece of wood, because nothing exists apart from my mind's awareness and its knowledge. See, that is the mundane aspect. Actually, the pure awareness without the conditioning or the knowledge, that is your true mind. Why does the thus come one say that this is not my mind? Now I am genuinely alarmed and frightened. Neither I nor anyone else here in the great assembly is free of doubt. I only hope that the thus come one with great compassion for us will instruct all of us, or all those among us who are not yet awakened. Luckily he qualified it. Then the commentaries. Ananda said that everyone who was also listening to his dialogue with the Buddha had doubt about what they had just heard. But in fact, that too was a deduction Ananda made with his own conscious mind. See, they always emphasize on the word conscious mind. That is your mundane mind. He didn't realize that the great Bodhisattva who were present had already understood, although they hadn't said anything. Then back to the sutta. Then to Ananda and the others in the great assembly, the world-honored one gave instruction to gain patience with the state of mind in which no mental object arises. So now you understand. The state of mind in which no mental object arises. What can be that mind? That is definitely your... Which mind is it? Definitely your true mind, isn't it? The true mind has nothing, understand now? The one that gives rise to mental object, that is the mundane mind. Because the mundane mind perceives through what? Memory, words, concept, whatever conditioning and belief system. So that causes the mind to stir and move. And that is the conditioned arising mind, mundane mind. Then we go to the commentaries. Before you understand, you think, oh no, nothing comes into being or cease to be. And all the mind-right mental object vanish. A fear arises in your heart. You can't bear the idea of it. But if you actually experience the state of mind in which nothing comes into being or cease to be, means if you experience that true mind, it will not seem at all unusual, and you will be able to bear it because you will have gained patience with the state of mind in which no object arises. A special experience occurs when you are about to become enlightened. This one is very true, very, very true. When you are about to awaken, you will realize that true mind, the silent mind. When the special experience happens, the only thing you can do is cherish it in your heart You yourself know, means can be realized by the wise, each for themselves. But you cannot tell people about it. It is inexpressible. That is patient with the state of mind in which no object arises. When you can see that the entire world of perceived object is within your essence or essential nature, that the three rhymes of existence are made from the mind alone. That's why mind make our day. Mind is the forerunner of all things. All this will become clear. When you can see that the entire world of perceived object is the mind only, means the mundane mind, that the mind-right phenomena are consciousness only. That's why the phenomenal world of consciousness is not real. They are mind-made, condition arising, causal phenomena. Then mental object will no longer come into being or cease to be. That's why I say when you awaken to that understanding, the phenomenal world of consciousness will have no power over you, because they are dependent, originating, non-intrinsic without you. That's how you develop the wisdom not to be deluded by it. Then all the fear, worry, anxiety, selfishness, restlessness, anger, hatred, all these mind states that manifest, they are dependent, originating, not intrinsic within your nature. So don't be deluded by all this manifestation. And when you know they are dependent, originating, not you, then why do you deludedly grasp onto it, cling onto it, and complain that after cultivating for so long, I still have fear, I still have anger, I still have not rooted them out. Who is the I? All this is delusion, Sakaya Ditti. So knowing all this, you will awaken, then you will have a new understanding. If they are not me, fear, worry, anxiety, sorrow, lamentation, or whatever mind state, even anger, hatred, envy, jealousy, then why should I be worried? Then I must trace its origination factor. How did I create this anger, this fear, this emotion? Wrong thought. If I know it's from the wrong thought, conditioned by the mundane mind to wrong view and wrong understanding, then I develop the right understanding to straighten my view and to reverse all this, so that I can see clearly and develop the wisdom to accept things as they are. Then I free my mind. Then no more stirring, no more this, no more that. Then all this phenomenal world of consciousness has got no power over my nature. That's how you develop the enlightenment, awakening, and free. So here is what Sakyamuni Buddha is trying to teach them. He said, you can see that the entire world of perceived object is the mind only. That the mind-right phenomena are only consciousness. That's why I told you, mind make a day. They arise and they pass away. As real as they can be is only within the moment, within the consciousness, the present moment. And that is the highest in life. So how real can life be? So that understanding is very important. That's why he know you, he know me. Everything is empty, not what you think. Then you will not grasp, you will not cling, you will not hold, and you will not deludedly give meaning. That's how you awaken. You realize the truth. Okay, then I continue. This part is very important. From the lion's seat, the Buddha reached out and circled his hand on the crown of Ananda's head, saying to him, "The task come one has often explained that all phenomena that come into being are nothing more than manifestation of the mind. All things that are subject to the principle of cause and effect, from the largest world to the smallest mote of dust, come into being because of this mundane mind, conditioned arising mind. If we examine the fundamental nature of each thing in the world, Ananda, down to even the smallest ribs of grass, we will see that all have reality. Even space has a name and attribute. Given that, how could the clear, wondrous, pure mind, the mind that truly understands and is the basic nature of all mental states and phenomena, itself like reality? That's how he teach and develop the understanding for Ananda Deo. Then he continued, but if, as you insist, that which makes distinction and is aware of them, which knows and understands them, is indeed the mind, then that mind which would necessarily have its own essential nature, independent of its involvement with objects, with visible object, sound, odor, flavor, and object of touch, means the external sense data. Yet now, as you listen to my Dhamma, it is due to sound that you can distinguish my meaning. Even if you were to withdraw into a state of quietude, in which all seeing, hearing, awareness of taste, tactile, cease, you still would be making distinction among the shadowy object of cognition in your mind, because the mental perception. In that kind of state, you would still be making distinction among the objects of your mental awareness. A state of quietness is still just a function of the sixth consciousness, the mind consciousness. Dreaming, for example, is a function of the mind consciousness. All of your subconscious release, etc., or unconscious release. As are psychotic states, and also our ordinary state of scattered thought, means restless, heedless thinking, and discrimination. A state of quietude, which the Buddha mentioned here, is another example. The first five consciousness has ceased functioning, yet you still have thought within. You feel that what is going on is very fine, but from the viewpoint of the Buddha's teaching, or the Buddhist teaching, you haven't even taken the first step. Don't feel satisfied. Instead, you should continue to make progress. If you stop at that place, it is easy to fall into a void, which is of no benefit in developing your skill in meditation. Then the sutta, he told Ananda, he said, I am not demanding that you just accept that this distinction-making capacity is not the mind, but examine your mind in minute detail to determine if a distinction-making capacity exists independent of its perceived object of awareness. That would truly be your mind, which is the true mind. If on the other hand, your distinction-make capacity does not have an essential nature apart from the perceived object, then it too would be a perceived object, a shadowy mental object. Perceived object is not permanent, and when that mind ceases to exist, such that it had no more reality than a turtle with fur or a hare with horn, then your Dhamma body would cease to exist along with it. Then you would be left to practice. Oh, sorry. Then who would be left to practice and to perfect patience with the state of mind in which no mental object arises? At that point, Ananda and the others in the great assembly were utterly dumbfounded. They had nothing to say. You see, our pure awareness nature, there is a nature within that is independent of external phenomena. It's just like I explained to you all in the past. To hear something, the perceived phenomena through the hearing consciousness, we need what? We need sense data. And what is this sense data? Vibration. Can be sound, can be music, noise, or whatever. Understand now? So you need sense data. That's why dependent originating, that it manifests. But who is the one within that can realize that there is no sound? When there is no sound means what? The silence of nature, the silence within your mundane mind. What is the entity? That one, when there is no sense data, complete stillness means whatever that can still be aware, or the pure perception of what happened, that is independent of the sense data. Understand now? So if that is not mind, then what is that? Understand now? You understand now? Everything within the conditioned world is what? Dependent, originating. You need sense data. You need causes and conditions. But to realize silence, to be aware of silence, do you need sense data or not? There is no sense data or not. And that is your essence of mind, your true mind, your nature within, that can be aware only. Understand? No need sense data. That is your true mind. The rest are created, dependent originating, perceived entity. When you perceive them, then conditions cease to be, it ceases to be. You understand? That is not your true mind. That is your mundane mind. Like I say, what is real? What is unreal? When you hear a passing car passing by, to you is what? It exists there, real. You can perceive it. And the perceived reality comes from what? The vibration, near enough for you to pick up. Then you say, exists. But when that car passes by and continue to travel, then out of range, you cannot hear anything. What happened? You say, no more, cease to be. So our perceived reality is dependent on what? Our senses. Understand? And our senses are very limited. Do you know that? The hearing frequency that we have are very limited. And even our seeing, we need the light and all those things, the supporting condition. That's why all this, if you are mindful and aware, you realize all this six and door manifestation of the mundane thinking, the mundane consciousness, they are dependent originating. They are not real. They come and they go. Dependent on causes and conditions. When causes and conditions cease to be, it ceases to be. So do not take that to be your true mind. Where your true mind is a nature within that is completely silent, that can see all the movement and the manifestation, and it doesn't need sense data to be aware. It is the primordial nature that is already aware before the arising of acting before the arising of Mano. So that understanding is very important. So that's why the Buddha tried to point out all this to Ananda, but they cannot understand. They were extolled and like dumbfounded. Now we continue. Then they had nothing to say. Then the Buddha said to Ananda, the reason why so many practitioners, now you listen, in the world do not succeed in putting an end to outflow and become arahat is due to what? Though they may have passed through all the 9 successive stages of samadhi. In the Theravada tradition, you remember there is a sutta where I believe it's Sariputta, if I am not mistaken. You remember the 8 stages of jhanas, the samadhi. So all the 8 jhana, they actually doesn't lead to awakening. Then there is what they call the 9 successive stages of samadhi. So they have gone through what they call the 4 form jhana. First, second, third, and fourth, reaching equanimity. But this is a conditioned mind, not a true mind. Then the infinite space, the formless jhana. Then the realm of infinite consciousness, which is the second formless jhana. Then the realm of nothingness. Then the realm of perception and non-perception, neither perception or non-perception. These mind states are so subtle, no? Like no mind exists, no? But they neither perceive or they don't perceive. And yet, these are not enlightenment mind state. Then, according to the sutta, there is another state. So he said, despite going through all these 9 states, they also have not put an end to outflow and become arahant. So this part is very important. So now I read the last part again. Though they may have passed through all 9 of the successful stages of samadhi, under the notes I think is explained. Mandarin, how to read Jiu Zhu Xing. See, this is described by the author Muller. So the mind holds deep concentration upon the object with ease. An Zhu Xing. Then the second one is, this is, I think, applied thought and sustained thought. Then the mind is supposed to be concentrated upon an object, drifts to other object. A reaction occurs and the mind promptly switches back to its chosen object. What is the Mandarin word? Yeah, what is the meaning of sir? Attentive. Okay. Which means they say is applied thought and sustained thought. Okay, now I will read on first. Then number 3 is supposed to be the third jhana. The mind concentrating upon an object for the process. Overshoot already.
No, for the purpose.
Okay. The purpose of grasping its nature by analysis drifts to other object. A reaction occurs, and the mind instantly returns to its work. What is the Chinese word? Mandarin word. What is the meaning of 解? Oh, 解释的解. Never mind, we move on. Number 4. The mind ceases to grasp the nature of things by analysis. When this occurs, the mind has entered deep concentration. Then what is that? Never mind, we read on. The mind, the fifth one is supposed to be a formless mind. After prolonged meditation, experience a feeling of fatigue. A reaction occurs, and immediately the mind is revitalized. What is that? What is the meaning? Tema. Okay, we read on. They translate it wrongly. These are jhana. Of course, it's thought-based, but he described it based on the Mandarin word and the English description. All wrong, because the jhana is not like that. You see, the first jhana is when you develop the applied thought and the sustained thought, then you realize the first jhana. Understand or not? Then after that, you continue to experience piti. Because when your thought cannot move, your mind becomes calm. So piti actually is an enlightenment factor. So the third jhana is actually piti. And when piti is developed, the second jhana is actually piti. The first jhana is applied thought and sustained thought. Then the second jhana is piti. The mind develops the joy, the spiritual calmness, the what they call meditative calm, meditative joy. Then from there they continue to relax. It develops into blissful state. Then after that they realize ekagata, one-pointedness. These are the 5 jhanic factors. So applied thought, sustained thought, piti, sukhang, then ekagata. Ekagata is the 4th jhana. So after they find the piti too gross, they relinquish it, then they realize sukhang, that is the 3rd jhana. Means very blissful state of mind, but it's a concentrated, conditioned mind. It's still thought-based, held together by that applied thought, sustained thought, then giving rise to all this conditioned state of experience. Then when he reached the one-pointedness, all the earlier on applied thought, sustained thought all relinquish, piti relinquish, then this one, sukhang, also relinquish, then the mind is in the state of equanimity, upekkha. But this upekkha is not the enlightenment factor. It's not born of wisdom. It's born of one-pointedness, ekagata. Yeah. That is the correct description. But here, based on what you all explained to me, the Mandarin word, the English is all completely wrong. Completely wrong. He got fatigue and all those nonsense. Then the formless mind also completely wrong. But not important. Anyway, I finish it first. The inner mind, number 6, the inner mind become agitated. See, he got this word. Whereupon a reaction occurs and the mind quickly soothes. What is that word? Number 6. What is see? Meaning. Oh, resting. Is it resting? No, this is infinite consciousness, the rhyme of infinite consciousness. No, infinite consciousness. The consciousness is like infinite. The rhyme of infinite consciousness. The first one is rhyme of, they call what? Space. Spaciousness, I think. I forgot the word already. They call it the rhyme of infinite space. This one is infinite consciousness. Their mind, like in that state of infinite consciousness. Never mind, we skip. Then number 7, when greed, desire, and attachment arise in the mind, a reaction occurs which eliminates them. Oh, this one is me choosing. This is the rhyme of nothingness. Okay, then we move on to number 8. When various temptations appear in the mind, distracting it, a reaction occurs, and the mind becomes cognizant that it is pure in nature. This realization enables the mind to function correctly again. What is the what? 自性的性啊。Also not correct. It's neither perception or non-perception. Then number 9, as a result, I extend the practice. The person is able to remain in meditation. The person is therefore in a blissful condition which enable him to maintain virtuous, steady, and avoid falling into error. What is that, Mike? What is 持? Huh? 保持. No. Okay, I read on. Charles A. Muller, 9 stages of meditation. No, not important. Yeah. I think maybe later. Wait. Go back to just now. We were here. The 9. They have gone through all the 9 successive stages of samadhi, so that they are attached. Oh, sorry, I read again. Though they may have passed through all 9 of the successive stages of samadhi, and this is for those who do the jhanas, is that they are attached to distorted mental processes that come into being and then cease to be, and they mistake these processes for what is real. That is why, even though they have become quite learned, you have not become a sage. Means what? Not even a sotapan. No? You realize or not? That's why the 四禅八定 and all this that they go through, they are thought-based, energy field, conditioned state. This is not the pure mind realizing the truth, the awakening. When Ananda had heard that, he again weeps sorrowfully. He then bowed to the ground, kneel with both knees, placed his palm together and said to the Buddha, ever since I followed the Buddha and resolved to enter the monastic life, I had relied on the Buddha's awe-inspiring spirit. I had often thought, there is no reason for me to toy at spiritual practice. Means he thought he is privileged, because I just expect that the Taskam one will graciously transfer some of this samadhi to me. I never realized that in fact he simply could not stand in for me in body or in mind. Thus I abandoned my original resolve, and though my body has indeed entered the monastic life, my mind has not entered the path. I am like the poor son who ran away from his father. Today I realize that, though I am learned, I might as well not have learned at all. Not have learned anything if I do not practice. Means the cultivation is very important, but he didn't go in. Just as someone who only takes the food but never gets food. Oh, talk. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Who only talk of food but never get to eat it. Okay. Oh, on that one. We are all bound by 2 obstructions. The Buddha start again. And as a consequence, we are unaware of the true mind that is everlasting and still. I only hope the Taskam one will take pity on us who are destitute and homeless. will disclose the wondrous mind that truly understand and will open our eye to the path. Okay, wait, I look through the notes. I just go through it. We finish until 8. Then 45 is parable, a reference to the parable of the errant son in chapter 4, the Lotus Sutta. Then 46 are the two obstructions, are the obstruction of affliction, which arise from attachment to self, and the obstruction of knowledge, which arise from attachment to phenomena, and which leads to ignorance. So this, arrogance, which leads to arrogance. I think these two are based on the Pure Land's teaching on 所知障 and 烦恼障. Okay, we move on. Okay. Then the task come one pour forth relentless or resplendent light from the symbol of purity on his chest. The bright light radiated with hundreds of thousands of colors shine all throughout the 10 directions simultaneously to illuminate Buddha land as many as the moon on the dust. And it shone upon the crown of the heads of the task-come one in every one of those radiant Buddha land. Then the light returned to shine upon the great assembly, upon Ananda and all others. This one is Sakyamuni Buddha trying to help them. Okay. Earlier in the sutta, the Buddha emitted light from his face, a blazing light, as brilliant as 100,000 of sun. The light represents the dispelling of delusion. Now he again emits light, but this time is from the chest. From the symbol of purity on his chest, means from that nature. This light represents the disclosing of the true mind, because your pure awareness nature is within, understand? That's why it's at the heart area. There is a gateway to access that nature. It has to be from the heart. Thereupon the Buddha said to Ananda, I now will rise for all of you. I now will raise for all of you. That's why he's trying to help them. A great Dhamma banner, so that all beings in the 10 directions can gain access to what is wondrous, subtle, and hidden. The pure luminous mind that understand, and so that they can open their clear seeing eye. So go to note 48. No explanation. 47 is the chest on the swastika. Okay, we move up. Okay, we stop here. Miss, he just mentioned he wants to do that. Then he didn't continue. So the second part is the answer, the nature of visual awareness. So this Surangama Sutra has this efficacy and what they call ability to actually let practitioner of the way, cultivator of the way, to penetrate the true mind. That's why those who take the supreme vehicle way, or we call the Bodhisattva way, then only this teaching is useful. Otherwise, that's why a lot of the one sainthood way, the Pacceka Buddha way, what they call sainthood way and the Pacceka Buddha way, some of them walk up where there is no condition. Then only those who have the condition, they stay back. So this teaching is actually very profound. Okay, I mark this page here. Then we can have our 45 minutes of awareness-based meditation. Relax body and mind, then silent everything. Then maintain awareness for as long as you can, stabilize the awareness. Then for those who already know how to stabilize the pure awareness, you can just proceed on to develop the fourth support. In the fourth support, you just silence everything and stay at the heart area. And let the nature detect whatever that arises from there. It can be your heartbeat or any vibration or phenomena that manifests from your heart area. Just silence. Trust that nature to develop the meditative movement within. Okay, so now I will let you meditate on your own. I set the 45 minutes alarm. Okay, you can now mindfully come out of the meditation. Try to maintain whatever inner peace, inner calmness, and inner awareness that you have developed for as long as you can. Then stabilize your daily mindfulness. That is most important. Okay, now instead of going on to the second session, I think I better share with you all this so-called 9 meditative states as stated just now by me in the Theravada state. In the Theravada teaching. They are called the Anupuba Vihara, 9 successive states. Sama Pateo. Okay. I have to ask Sui. I don't know how to share this. Maybe I make use of the balance of time to go through the 9 meditative meditative states, known in the Pali canon as the 9 successive states of attainment or meditative absorption. They call it Samapatti, as expounded by Venerable Sariputta in the Samadhi Sutta Discourse on Right View. This state consists of 4 form jhana, like I explained to you earlier on. Material rhyme absorption, or they call it the first 4 jhanic state. And the 4 formless jhana, the immaterial rhyme of absorption. And finally is the state of cessation of perception and feeling. So the 9 meditative attainments, as described by Sariputta, these are the state of deep concentration in the form rhyme, attained by seclusion, or secluding one from sensuality and unskillful qualities. So in the first jhana, I explained to you, is a state with piti and pleasure, sukha, accompanied by initial application of thought and sustained thought of the mind in the meditative object. So when you develop the applied thought, the sustained thought, then you experience piti, sukha. Then the last one is ekagata, but it's not there yet. Where is in the only the first state of jhanic absorption, or they call jhanas. So jhana, there is still an applied thought and sustained thought, is still thought. And in the second jhana, a state of rapture or piti will arise, free of initial and sustained thought. So the initial application of thought and sustained thought, you relinquish it, then you experience the second jhana, which is only piti. Of course, there is internal tranquility and calmness of mind. Here they use the unification of mind, but it's a conditioned state. And in the third jhana, the meditator abides in the state of, actually here they put equanimity, mindful and alert, experiencing sukhang, pleasure is actually sukhang, blissful state. As rapture fade away. So as this piti fade away, they experience sukhang, and that is the third jhana. Then in the fourth jhana is supposed to be a perfect state of equanimity with mindfulness, where both piti and sukhang is no more, abundant, resulting in a state of, they call it one-pointedness, or ekagata. Then after that you have the four formless jhana, or some call it the fifth jhana, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th. So 5th is the realm of infinite space, or some call it sphere of infinite space. So the cultivator or the meditator pass beyond perception of form and enter the sphere where he used the word consciousness again. Actually they experience the infinite space. Here they use boundless consciousness. The AI something not correct on. Then the 6th jhana, or the second formless realm, is a sphere of infinite consciousness, or realm of infinite consciousness. Then the 7th jhana, or the third formless jhana, is the realm of nothingness. So they pass beyond infinite space, infinite consciousness, then they experience the sphere of nothingness. Then finally, the 8th attainment, or the 8th jhana, or the fourth formless realm, is a sphere of neither perception or non-perception. So there is still mind, although very fine at this state. Then Sariputta described a 9th attainment, where he described it as cessation of perception and feeling. So here they mention that this is the state where the meditator passes beyond the 8th jhana, the form of neither perception or non-perception, and enters the cessation of perception and feeling. So this they describe as a temporary suspension of all mental activity, leading to final liberation for an arahant. Or sometimes they call it Nirodha Sahampati. But you have to be careful. The one that realizes cessation through jhana is not the real cessation. That's why in the Surangama Sutra is mentioned as, despite this 9 attainment, you have not realized the right, what they call awakening. That's why this sutta is based on the sutta of samadhi, means right view. What constitutes right view? So it's not all this so-called meditative attainment. I checked. Just now I saw it's different. This version is more accurate. Your version is not that accurate. The AI, I think different AI give you different thing. I better read from this one. Later I will try to send this one to you. Ignore the one inside that one. I will try to send later. I try to get this version. Okay. So the 9 meditative states or jhana, the 4 form jhana, these states are attained by focusing all attention on a single object. This is more accurate, leading to the suppression of the 5 mental hindrances of sensual desire, ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness of mind, and skeptical doubt. The first jhana is a seclusion, a state of seclusion born of piti and sukkhang, accompanied by applied thought and sustained thought. So this is the first jhana, without the ekagata first. Then after that, as you continue to meditate, you relax, maintain awareness. Then the applied thought and sustained thought become like 2 gross. It will fade away. So when you fade away, you will experience the second jhana. So here they describe as with the stilling of the applied thought and sustained thought, one enters the state of piti or rapture. And this one is the second jhana. Characterized by internal assurance and unification of mind without the applied thought and sustained thought, means the discursive thought. Then the third jhana is with the fading away of piti or rapture. The meditator abides in the state of sukkhang, equanimity and sukkhang. Then in the fourth jhana, when this sukkhang also fades, result in the state of neither perception neither pleasure nor pain, but a pure, all-pervasive peacefulness of mind, that term equanimity. So this equanimity actually is not the enlightenment factor. It's not born of wisdom, but the mind become focused, one-pointedness. Then it's like no thought, because everything is killed into one point. So no thought actually is a thought. So in that state, you are in a state of one-pointedness of mind, and the energy will build up in that state. And that is what they call the fourth jhana, or the state of equanimity. Then the fourth formless jhana, building upon the stability of the fourth jhana, the meditator transcends form altogether, then reach the sphere of infinite space. So the meditator focuses on space as infinite, transcending all perception of form. Then the meditator moves on to the sixth jhana, the sphere of infinite consciousness. Seeing that the infinite space is encompassed by consciousness, the meditator shifts his focus from infinite space to infinite consciousness. Then the sphere of nothingness, the meditator perceives that this infinite consciousness is empty of any permanent essence or thing. Then it abides in the sphere of nothingness, like there is nothing. Then the sphere of neither perception or non-perception is a highly subtle state. Like I said, the mind is very subtle, where perception is so fine that it cannot be said to exist. Yet there is still a minimal level of awareness, where the mind has become very subtle. It neither perceives or non-perceive. That's why they call it the rhyme of neither perception or non-perception, but it's still a very fine, subtle mind. Then the ninth jhana is the cessation of perception and feeling. This ultimate meditative state, known as Sanya Vedayita Nirodha in Pali, involves a temporary cessation of consciousness. That's why this one is called meditative absorption, where the cessation happens for a while. So this temporary cessation of all consciousness, feeling and perception will arise. This state is only accessible, they use the word non-returner, or arahat means fully enlightened being, and is seen as a direct stepping stone for final liberation. Only the third stage and fourth stage of fruition of the sainthood way, they can attain this, what they call longer period of cessation, like I explained to you all last time. But this cessation, which is the cessation of form and mind, is complete cessation, means the pure awareness also no more. This is the realization of Nibbana, means that mind that realizes itself is ceased. So at the first stage of sainthood, I recall in the past when I did it, it's just a glimpse of that cessation. It's not long. Then even at the second stage of sainthood, it's just a glimpse, but it keeps on happening. Then later on you go into longer period of cessation, and this cessation, the mind completely ceases. Even the pure awareness nature that we talk about, that true mind, that one also ceases. If that one doesn't cease, then it's not the real cessation. Then they have this, what they call sahampatiya. Nirodha sahampatiya, remember they use. Samapatiya.
The one you sent says samapati.
Oh, samapatiya. Oh, okay. The final attainment, the cessation of perception and feeling, nirodha samapati. So this one is those who do jhana one. Sometimes they go in. The accumulation of meditative path, where all perception and feeling temporarily cease. So here is mentioned perception and feeling cease. But sometimes when this one ceases, your pure awareness is still there. So this state is a temporary nirvana, experience accessible only to those who have mastered all the eight jhana and attained the stages of, they include the non-returner and arahantship. But the actual one is this nirodha sahampati, samapatiya, not sahampatiya, samapatiya. Nirodha samapati. It is different from the nibbanic experience that people go through. So that's why those who do jhana and go into this, they may not have realized the awakening. So this is the slight difference that people actually come to discuss about it in the Samadhi Sutta as expounded by Sariputta. Maybe I open up that part. Okay, so under this Samadhi Sutta, I just read through quickly, the Sutta on right view. So have I heard at that time, the Buddha was staying in Savalti, in Jeta's group, Anandapindika monastery. There Sariputta addressed the mendicants, MENDICANTS. Beggar. Oh. Reverend, they replied. Then Sariputta said this. Reverend, they speak of this thing called right view. How do you define a noble disciple who has right view, whose view is correct, who has experience, who has experiential confidence in the teaching and has come to the true teaching? Reverend, we would travel a long way to learn the meaning of this statement in the presence of Venerable Sariputta, May Venerable Sariputta himself please clarify the meaning of this. Yeah, 6 o'clock already. Oh yeah, I have to end already. Okay, now maybe leave this part out. Yeah, maybe we just end the session. Let me go back and read through. Then I will explain to you the next lesson when we continue. Where this Samadhi Sutta is very useful. It is about right view. Then you will understand why the jhanas are not the correct, what they call samadhi, samadhi that is taught under the Noble Eightfold Path. Otherwise, the Buddha would have used the word samajhana. He no need to use the word samadhi. So those who caught in all this, they cannot break free. Especially the Buddha himself when he was under training, taught by the 2 teachers, Alara and Udaka. He also achieved the same level of training. One taught him the jhanas up to the 7th jhana, then the other one until the 8th, and yet he was not happy with both. Then he decided to go on his own and cultivate separately and differently. That's why because of that, the 5 ascetics which was with him saw him like starts to revert back to taking food and other things, no longer doing the they call the one that he tortured himself, austerity or that type of practice. So because of that, they left him. But then it was because he realized that without food, his body is too weak. There is no way, despite achieving all the jhanic state, it lead him nowhere. That's why he decided to take food again. And he remember when he was young at the harvesting festival, when he was just a newborn baby, I think 1 or 2 years old. He experienced the first jhanic experience, where he was in that state of piti and sukham, of course with the applied thought and sustained thought. Then he felt so good in that state. That's why he investigated. He just developed the mindfulness up to the first jhana. He didn't go beyond the first jhana. Then after that, he connected and developed the transformation and understanding. That's how all this happened. Okay, now we will do the sharing of merit, transfer of merit, then we end. Then next session remind me to share with you all on the Samadhi Sutta that Sariputta actually expounded under the Theravada tradition. Then from there you will have a better understanding of why in the Surangama Sutra is mentioned by the Buddha that even after having realized the 9 meditative samadhi or so-called meditative state, they have not realized true enlightenment. There is still outflow. Okay, so now we will share marriage, transfer merit, and we end. Akasata cha bhumata deva naga mahindika punyang tang adamoditwa chirang rakantu loka sasana itta vata chamehi sampadan punya sampadan sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya idang me nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo idang me nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo idang me nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo Devo Asadukalena Sasa Sampati Hetucha Vito Bhavatu Lokocha Raja Bhavatu Dhammiko Imena Punyang Kamena Mame Bala Samagamo Satang Samagamo Hotu Yawa Nivana Patiya Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu. Okay, now you can pay respect mindfully to Lord Buddha, Kuan Yin Bodhisattva, and all the worthy ones. Then we end. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.